when I was a little boy, I was little Eddie. I'm Eddie the third, by the way. My grandfather's Edward, my dad's Edward, I'm Edward. So I was little Eddie, Eddie the third. Kids at school called me Eddie Spaghetti. That wasn't fun. Say, Eddie Spaghetti, your meatballs are ready. That's what they would say. That's how they tease me. And the jerk that started this lived right next door to me. Little Ray Ray, this little punk. So there's little Eddie and there's Ray Ray. Why is he Ray Ray? Because his dad's Big Ray. We lived in Weymouth, Massachusetts at the time. They're wooing, but they wouldn't want to retire there. Let's put it that way. That is not Laguna Beach, is it, everybody? So my house is the same exact house as Ray Ray's. Except you know how track houses are, they just flip them. So it was his house, my house in reverse. So we shared a driveway. Their porch, their stairs to their house was here. Mine was there. So when they're eating dinner, I could hear all their conversations. They could hear all ours. And Ray Ray's the one who started, Eddie Spaghetti, your meatballs are ready. And I didn't like it. And he used to kind of mess with me. He figured out I was kind of soft. You know, you kind of figure it out. Like we're playing football in the street. He kind of whacked me and I wouldn't whack him back. You know those kind of things little kids do to figure it out? He was the stud. I was the weak kid. And he figured it out. He was big. I was little Eddie. Literally little Eddie. Really small. And so Ray Ray used to kind of slap me around a little bit. And one day, we got in a little scrape behind the cars in the driveway. And Ray Ray kicked my ass. Pretty good. Pretty damn good. To the point where I ran away from him crying. Maybe you can relate to this. And I ran into the house, and my mom was on the porch. Oh my gosh, Eddie, what happened? Mama, Ray Ray, he slapped me, punched me in the face. Oh, come here, sweetheart. Remember? Come here, baby. We're in the kitchen, and she's hugging me. It's okay. He's a bad boy. His daddy's been in jail like 3 times. We're not that kind of family. They're mean, right? He's a bad man. I go, Mommy, he's a bad man. They're bad people. And I can hear, here comes Big Ed down the hallway. I can hear him. I'm thinking he's going to give me a big hug too, right? My dad goes, what the hell's going on in here? My mom turns around and says, this criminal next door, Ray Ray, has assaulted our son for the 400th time. That's what's going on here. Are you going to do anything about this? And my dad goes, get your hands off him. He goes, get over here. And he gets down at my level and he goes, look at me. You are leaving this house and you are going back over there and you are kicking his ass. You understand me? I'm no, Dad, he always kicks my butt. He said, you don't come back in this house until you kick his ass. You understand me? My mom, Ed, what are you doing? Debbie, stop it. I know what I'm doing here. Don't come back here till you beat him up. You understand me? Huh? Oh, okay, Daddy. And I walk out of the door and I walk over to their porch, which is like 3 steps from ours. And my dad's behind the screen. I see him in the kitchen behind our screen with my mom. My mom's crying. My dad's like, I got this, right? And I knock on the door, their screen, and Big Ray all tatted up, no shirt on. He's through the screen. What's up, Eddie? He said, Big Ray, my dad says I have to come over here and kick Ray Ray's ass or I can't come home for dinner. So, and Big Ray goes, I like that kind of party. Let's get it. I'm serious. I hear him at the door. Ray Ray, Ray Ray. That's how he yells. Ray Ray, get over here. Little Ray, little bulldog comes running up. Right? He goes, hey, little Eddie wants another piece. And little Ray Ray goes, let's do this. I'm like, oh crap. And we're walking down his stairs and I could see my dad in the screen over here. I'm like, oh my God. And I'll never forget this. The 2 cars were there. My dad's Datsun B210 orange hatchback and his dad's green Pinto flanked our estates right there in the driveway. Oil all over the driveway because Big Ray would change everything in the driveway. And we got up there and Big Ray goes, you get there, go. And Ray Ray came at me. And by some force of sheer blessing from God, I got this little dude in a headlock and I'm giving him, my dad used to give me noogies. Remember noogies? So I didn't really know how to hit him, but I'm noogieing the hell out of this kid's head. Noogies, just noogies. I'm ripping the hair off his damn head and I'm choking him. Noogies. I'm kind of looking back at the screen and see my dad. I got him, Dad. I got him, Dad. And so finally, I'm noogieing this kid to death. Literally can't breathe. And so finally, Ray's going, get him, Ray, get him, Ray. I'm hearing him yell, get him, Ray. I'm like, noogies. And I won't let him go. He's trying to squirm. And I'm like, boom. I'm kind of slapping him in the head. These little boys out there, right? And so finally, I kicked his ass, right? No. So Big Ray stops it. Big Ray pulls us off each other and he goes, Ray Ray, he got you. Let's shake his hand. And we shook hands. And I walked home. My dad's like, now get in here. Let's make some spaghetti. Let's do this, right? So proud of me.
See, thing about push-up is once you get started, it's difficult. But let's say by the grace of God, somehow you get 20 cranked out. And then you just keep on, and then you throw some prayer in the game, and the next thing you know, you got 40 knocked out. But you steady pressing. What you don't see is you developing a strength with that pressing. And then somehow you get to 70, and you look up, and everything on you shaking. Your teeth is cracking. Your eyes is busting out your head. You can't believe what's happening to you. You get to 80, your clothes don't look the same no more. You somehow get to 90, and it's all coming loose now. And then, through prayer in some kind of way, you ain't got to know how. You just got to start. See, too many people try to figure out the how. Now you're trembling. You're shaking. Everything in you is about to blow up. But you done 100 push-ups. Now, somebody come to you and say, man, you say, wow, I did the 100, I'm successful now. And then you say, well, good, now I'm successful. What I got to do to stay successful? Hold that position. After you done 100, lock and hold. That's how hard it is to be successful. But in that mere description right there, most people go, I ain't finna try that. What got me to this position is I went ahead on and tried. I didn't even have the ability, and I still have struggled. But guess what? I'm holding, but I ain't holding by myself. See, you keep going to church and you keep memorizing these scriptures, but you got to put them to application. If he all that in a bag of chips, if he can do anything but fail, why you keep bringing up the failure? It doesn't make any sense. You can have a life. Ain't this a Bible verse say something about if you have a life, come to Christ, you have life and have it more abundantly. Something like that, right? I don't try to do that, because what I don't do is I don't put myself in Bible verses that ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all always want to plug yourself into all the scriptures. Some of them scriptures is for people that don't do certain things, then this is the result. You ain't got to plug yourself in there. Like it's a scripture that says something about the poor. The poor will always be with you. It don't say the poor will always be with you, Steve. Why am I putting myself in that Bible verse? He just talking about if you don't believe in your heart and don't doubt. He talking about if you have faith without works is dead. He talking about if you do that. Don't put yourself in there. But if you want to justify why you poor, then you whoops that one out. I don't want to be in that one, so I don't pull it out.
And I'm saying that if you know anybody that had some goal, some dream, something they wanted to do, and they did it, then I'm saying that you know in your heart that if someone has done it, then you can do it. It's possible. And that if someone can make their dream become a reality, that it's possible that you can make your dream become reality. And so as you begin to look at where you want to go, beginning to embrace that, it's possible. I'm blessed and highly favored. I've got a lot going for me. I got some good stuff in me. And it's possible that I can bring my greatness out here in the universe, that I can do what I want to do. It's possible I can write my own book. I can have my own business. I can take the trip and travel around the world. It's possible. I can bounce back from adversity and reinvent my life. It's possible. Regardless of where I am, the things can get better for me. It's possible. I'm thinking about two men right here in Chicago who were fairly successful, similar background, educated. They worked for a corporation for many years, and they were among many people that were laid off. Two guys who were very good friends. One went out looking for a job for several weeks along with the other one, and they faced disappointment and rejection again and again and again. They couldn't find any work, which is the story of many people across this country. One guy stopped. He became discouraged. He stopped going. He stayed home looking at television, became very argumentative and toxic with his wife, drinking beer, getting on the phone, talking to his other negative, unemployed friends, and he just gave up. The other guy kept looking for a job everywhere he could go. Every time he could get an opportunity, kept asking people, networking, checking the newspapers every day, kept going everywhere he could, trying to find a job. You have too much education. You're overqualified. You won't be here long enough. He kept going. He kept going. He went to a place and said, look here, I tell you what, if you can't hire me, and I know you can use my talents, abilities, and skills, I don't want to sit home and do nothing. Just let me do some volunteer work. You don't have to give me anything, all right? I just want to work. I want to be busy. Guy said, okay, it's on you now, but don't expect me to give you anything. It's okay. This guy came in and worked. He was the first one there. The last one to leave was the best employee there. About 4 weeks later, one of the top managers quit. They were looking for a replacement. Guess who they selected? This other guy. This guy who was volunteering his time. He got the job. What was the difference between the two men? Eyesight and mindsight. Eyesight is judging on what you see, judging according to appearances. But mindsight is how you interpret what you see. One guy said, it's not possible. It's over. I'm finished. I can't do it. I can't make it. He surrendered. I've faced rejection again and again. I'm not going anymore. There are no jobs out there. But this other guy, he felt that in spite of the no's and rejections, in spite of how bad the economy is, in spite of what the newspapers are saying, that it's possible that somebody somewhere will give me a job. He just kept going, thinking it was possible. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's what we have to do with our dreams. Because things happen to you in life that you can never, ever anticipate. And many times when those things happen, you want to give up. I remember when I was in broadcasting, when I was a disc jockey, I became very controversial, not only in being a disc jockey, but I felt that radio was something that you not only entertain people with, but you also empower them, you educate them.
Now, there's all kinds of winters. Not just the winter of the season, but there's all kinds of winter. Winter time, the down time, the discouraging time. One writer called it the winter of discontent. The winter when you can't figure it out, the winter when it all goes wrong. Economic winter, social winters, political winters, and personal winter. When your heart is smashed in 1,000 pieces, the nights are unusually long. It's called winter time. Barbra Streisand sings, it used to be so natural to talk about forever, but used to be's don't count anymore. They just lay on the floor till we sweep them away. You don't sing me love song. You don't say you need me. And you don't bring me flowers anymore. A song of winter. But hey, we're acquainted with all those winter scenarios. We've been through them all. Now the question is, what do you do about the winter? Well, you can't get rid of January by tearing it off the calendar. But here's what you can do with the upcoming winters of your life. The long ones, the short ones, the easy ones, the more difficult ones. Here's what you can do. Get wiser and stronger and better. Just make a list of that trio of good words. Wiser, stronger, and better. To challenge for yourself the upcoming winters of your life, don't you think you could read more? Pick up the scenario, pick up the books, pick up the cassettes. So I would put some stuff on cassettes so you can listen to it, put it in books so you can read it. Now putting it on video so you can see it. I'm telling you, anybody that wants to can get wiser. Next is stronger. Anybody can get stronger. If you're willing to do the push-ups, you can get stronger. If you're willing to put yourself through the paces, you can get stronger. Can you develop stronger skills? And the answer is yes. Start practicing, practicing, practicing. And you can get stronger. Can you get stronger in handling life situations? Of course. But you got to go to work on yourself. You can't blame out there wishing it was easier. Wish you were stronger. And here's the last one. Get better. Anybody can get better. Language, we can all get better. I've been lecturing now for 33 years, and I'm telling you, today versus 33 years ago, I'm better. First time I gave a talk, I stood up, my mind sat back down. I mean, I've been through that whole deal. Opened my mouth, nothing came out for a while. My knees are banging together, the sweat's pouring off my face, I'm shaking like a leaf. It's called terror, in case you haven't tried it. Those first attempts, but I'm telling you, I got through it, and I did it again, and I got through it, and I did it again, and I got through it. And now, of course, I can lecture for a few hours in one day. Anybody can get better. Develop the skill, okay? Handle the upcoming winter. Don't wish away the winters. That's called naive. Wish for the skills. Wish for the strength. Wish for the wisdom. Here's the second major lesson in life to learn. Learn how to take advantage of the spring. Uniquely enough, spring follows winter. And pray tell how often? 6,500 times. I mean, those are good odds. I'd gamble on it one more time. I mean, those are good odds. Every time. You can't beat those odds. Spring is called opportunity. Another day is called opportunity. Days follow night. About that. And how often? Every day. But now here's what we must learn to do with opportunity. Underline 2 strategic words in that sentence. Take advantage. Just because spring comes is no sign you're going to look good in the fall. You've got to take advantage of it. You've got to do something with it. Read every book you can on what to do with your spring, what to do with your opportunities, what to do with your days, what to do with your chances. Don't miss the educational process. Don't miss the process of learning. To understand, opportunity keeps coming, but the key is taking advantage, taking advantage. Everybody in this room's got to learn to do one of two things. Plant in the spring or beg in the fall. And it doesn't mean you can't become a sophisticated beggar, but you don't need the reputation. Learn to plant in the spring. Take advantage. And there's an urgency here on springtime because there's just a few springs, handful of springs offered to each of us. So take advantage swiftly and quickly. Don't just let the time pass. The Beatles wrote, "Life is very short." And for John Lennon, it was extra short. For Michael Landon, it was X short. But life is short. At the longest, it's short. So don't just let the springs pass. Take advantage. Seize the day. Seize the moment. Seize the opportunity. It's the key. Springtime. Life is fragile. Life is brief. Elton John sings she lived her life like a candle in the wind. It's fragile. It's brief. Whatever you're going to do, you got to get at it. Don't just let it pass away. Here's major lesson number 3. In the summer, learn how to nourish and protect. We've got 2 challenges in the summer in the personal development part of our life. And that is become capable, powerful enough in the summer, and wise enough in the summer to nourish what's good and defend yourself against what's bad. Nourish and defend. Summertime is an interesting time. It holds the possibility of the promise of harvest time, but it also has the possibility of the threat. Sure enough, as soon as you've planted your garden, the busy bugs and the noxious weeds are out to take it. And let me give you another word of advice. They will take it unless you prevent it. Summertime is an interesting time. Best as I can describe summertime, you got to nourish your values like a mother. Nourish like a mother. Go after the threat to the values you've got like a father. Deal with the weeds. Kill the weeds. Nourish the garden and kill the weed. That's called summertime. What a challenging time. Give life like a mother. Take life like a father. Summertime. You got to deal with the negative as well as the positive. Summertime is a unique, complex mix of positive and negative. Opportunity and threat. What a scenario of life itself. Opportunity and threat to the opportunity. And you got to deal with both. You got to think positive and you got to think negative. You got to handle what's ever out to threaten you. You got to learn to threaten it back. Summertime. Interesting time. Nourish like a mother. Defend like a father. You got to be like your bloodstream in the summer. Red corpuscles to what? Nourish. White corpuscles to what? Fight. You got to both nourish and fight. You got to nourish and be vigilant. White corpuscles think negative. You can't just think positive. We call you naive. Somebody says, well, I've been taught to be all positive. You'll be some kind of freak. You can't be all positive. Thank God for white corpuscles that think negative all day. Guess what white corpuscles are looking for all day? Problems, infection. White corpuscles say, just show me some infection, I'll kill it. Why? It's out to kill the body. It's out to kill our chances. It's out to kill our future. Whatever threatens us, we threaten. I'm asking you to take sword to your enemy. Whatever's out to threaten you, threaten your health, you got to threaten it back. Like white corpuscles. Kill what's evil. Nourish what's good. Love like a mother. Hate like a father.
After suffering through a pandemic for a year, many of us felt as if a year of our lives had been wiped clean. In such enduring circumstances, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that our life's timing is off or forgotten. We must remember that God is still on the throne, and that if we trust Him with our lives and go with His route, follow it, then we will get where we need to be at exactly the correct time. There is an underlying tension that we must have a certain title or rank in the employment by a given age in order to feel on track in life. This stress can be overpowering for many people, but that is when we need to bring God into the picture. God has perfect timing, and we see this timing made fully intentional when we invite Him into every part of our lives for direction. Many positions or jobs will lead to new opportunities, connections with others, or personal improvement, and this is something that should not be overlooked. When you're younger and want to marry, people around you may discourage you because they think you're too immature. But if you're not married by a certain age, those same voices will become bewildered. Consider whether God still has a plan for your life at deliberate timing if you are feeling behind, especially at a time when nearly 2 birthdays of your life have been overtaken by a pandemic era. Perhaps your future spouse is going through a season that is required for them to grow into the person they will need to be a decent companion. Perhaps they're coming out of a poor relationship, or perhaps there are some heart modifications that need to be made. Remember that if we knew everything that God knows, we would agree that waiting was the greatest option at the moment. Another characteristic of our generation is the urge to get everything immediately, or at least extremely soon. When it comes to achieving a goal or desire, it might be disappointing to see how difficult the road ahead appears to be. Consider situations in the Bible where God meticulously planned the specifics of a voyage, such as these. We may not always understand why a God-given desire or objective is taking so long, but there is hope for the future if we rely on the promise giver rather than the current circumstances. Trust, in and of itself, needs faith, which is something we can rarely tangibly hold or see. There are always aspects of a situation that we do not see, comprehend, or have knowledge about, no matter how in control we feel. That is not to defeat us, but to give us the assurance that God is in charge. This does not imply that every minute of the trip will feel hopeful or peaceful, but it does imply that we can abide in His goodness, which does not change. Believe and trust that He is at work in the unseen realm, and that He is trustworthy. When the time comes, God will turn every light green and open every door exactly when He wants them to. And no power of hell or human scheming will be able to stop Him. It will be because the God who hung the stars in the galaxy declared clearly, "It is time." It will not be because of our trying or because we can create our own wonders. Patience becomes less about time and more about trust at this point. The goal of patience is to build trust. Trust that no time spent waiting on the Lord is wasted. Rather, each instant counts and has purpose. Our God is a God who provides for you, each and every time. God doesn't come through for you because you've been good or because you deserve it, because that is who God is. God is so gracious to us, and when we begin to trust Him with the little things in life, it strengthens our faith and allows us to trust Him much more in the future. God wants for us to prioritize Him in our lives. He wants us to place our complete faith and trust in Him at all times and in all situations. Even when we don't understand, He wants us to lean on Him. God knows everything, but we don't. We see the world from a limited perspective, but He sees everything. He knows the future and the past, and everything He plans comes to pass. He knows when you're supposed to land your dream job, and He knows when you're meant to marry the perfect guy. You can trust Him because even if it takes many years, it will come to pass. If God planned it, it is bound to happen.
It's not a gimmick. Vision boards are very real. You have to understand that. You have to understand all successful people have them. You can't. You're not going to get everywhere you want in life without writing your visions down, without having them in front of you. It's a scripture. This is not a theory that Oprah Winfrey came up with. This is a biblical scripture. God set it in place where you could have the life of your dreams. He put it in place. There is a way that you can have the life of your dreams. You just have to learn the principles of success. Now, they got all these books out here, but all these books on self-help and success, they're based on the principles from the Bible. Ain't nobody coming up with no new stuff. Proverbs got all that information in it. All of that information is in Proverbs. You ain't got to look no further. But since Proverbs is hard to understand, people have self-help books like The Magic of Thinking Big, Power of Positive Thinking, The Winner's Circle, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. All this stuff come out of the Bible. There is a scripture, Habakkuk 2:2. It says, write the vision and make it plain, so that he who reads it will run to it. And even though it tarry means take a long time, wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. That's in the Bible. That ain't in the rich people's copy. That's in everybody's Bible. The problem is everybody don't do it. But it's right there. But you got to do it. I'm just telling you, if you don't do it, it's too hard. It's almost impossible. That vision board has changed my life. Everything I put on my vision board, I get. Everything. Now, you have to understand something. It's not going to come when you want it to come. It comes at an appointed time. That's the trick. But the appointed time is what throws people off. Because when you ask God for something, He sends it. He ships it immediately. As soon as you ask Him something, you really believe He'll do it? He boxes it up and He ships it to you immediately. The problem with the package is He never gives you the date that the package is going to arrive. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. Because if He told you the date that the package would arrive, it would destroy the requirement He has of all of us, which is faith. Faith is the belief in things that you cannot see. So if you ask God for $1 million and He tell you, I'm going to give it to you in March of 2020, you wouldn't need no faith. You'd be talking to people crazy because you know in 2020, I'm finna be a millionaire. But He sent $1 million as soon as you ask for it. But it's going to come at an appointed time. The problem is people stop waiting on the package. Then when it get to you, because He delivers only to Faith Street, when He delivers to you on Faith Street, but you done stepped off of Faith Street, you over here on I don't see how circle, He don't ship there. Instead of staying on Faith Street, you done stepped over here to I don't believe it Boulevard, or it took too long Avenue. Then the package come to Faith Street. It's just like the post office and FedEx. If you ain't there to receive it, it gotta go back. That's how it works, man. It ain't a magic trick. God is real fair and simple. That's how I got here, cause of vision board.
It's easy to go through life thinking of all the reasons why we can't be successful, why we won't get well, Well, we'll never meet the right person. We look at our situations in the natural and think the odds are against us. I talked to a man that struggles with an addiction. He said, Joel, my dad had this same addiction. My grandfather struggled with it. The odds don't look too good for me. But as long as you think the odds are against you, you'll get stuck where you are. You have the most powerful force in the universe breathing in your direction. God has crowned you with favor. He has armed you with strength for every battle. He wouldn't have allowed that difficulty if He wasn't going to turn it around and use it to your advantage. The odds may be against you, but the Most High God is for you. He is a supernatural God. He parts Red Seas. He turns water into wine. He opens the eyes of the blind. Your circumstances may look impossible, but the God who can do the impossible is working behind the scenes, arranging things in your favor, turning negative situations around. Since God is for you, that means the odds are for you. Don't go through life thinking, not me, Joel. I come from the wrong family. The odds are against me. No, turn it around. I've been born into a new family. My Heavenly Father controls the universe. I have royal blood flowing through my veins. When you know the odds are for you, you'll put your shoulders back. You'll carry yourself with confidence. You'll expect to do great things. All through the day, this should be playing in our mind. The odds are for me. I'm destined to accomplish my dreams. I'm destined to overcome this challenge. I'm a child of the Most High God. But don't be surprised when you find yourself in situations where it feels like the odds are against you. You don't see a way out. There aren't any logical solutions. God puts us there on purpose so that when He turns it around, nobody will get the credit except Him. Everyone will know it is the hand of the Lord. And when your circumstances seem impossible, instead of being discouraged, God, why me? No, get ready. You're in perfect position for God to show out in your life. He is setting you up to show His favor in amazing ways. Are you letting the odds talk you out of your dreams, talk you out of your health, talk you out of your freedom? Not long ago, the lottery was at a record amount. I read where the odds of winning it were 1 in 300 million. They use this example that if you laid pennies on the ground side by side from Seattle to Miami, and you marked one of those pennies with a special X, the chances of you winning that lottery were the same as you choosing that one special penny between Seattle and Miami. They were basically saying, forget about it. You're not going to win. In the book of Genesis, it talks about how God created the heavens and the earth. The word it uses for creation means that He made it out of nothing. Every expert would have said, that's impossible. You don't have anything to work with. If you had skies, oceans, grass, air, then maybe you could make something, put it together, but you can't do that with nothing. It's one thing to have odds of 12 and 2,600. That's not so great. It's another to have odds of 1 in 300 million. That's very unlikely. But what about when the odds are 0 in 300 million? 0 in 2,600. It's impossible. There's no chance. Here's how amazing God is. He started the universe with odds of 0. He had nothing to work with. No way in the natural, but God is not moved by the odds. He didn't check with accounting and say, I'm about to create stars, galaxies, planets. I have nothing to work with. What are the odds of this happening? Accounting would have said 0. You have no materials, no resources. God would have said, thank you for your information. Now let there be light. Light came at 186,000 miles a second. He spoke worlds into creation. He didn't Google it to see if it was possible. He didn't try to figure out a way. He is the way. He didn't try to open a door. He is the door. He doesn't check with the odds to see if you can reach your destiny. He speaks and it becomes your destiny. He's not limited by your background, by how you were raised, by your education. He is all powerful. He can take nothing and make something magnificent. Imagine what he can do with you. You are his prized possession. He breathed his life into you. You have the DNA of Almighty God. There may be odds against you in certain areas, but they cannot stop you. God has destined you to leave your mark. Don't let the odds discourage you. Don't let what you think is not going to happen talk you out of believing. Even if the odds are 0 in a million, all God has to do is speak, and the odds change in your favor.
Because it's not like you don't have a dream for your life. It's not like you don't have a desire. In fact, some of you, it's not that you don't even have faith in God. Your problem is every time you step out, you have yoked yourself up to people that you have no business being yoked up to, and your life is going in zigzags. Why is it I'm back here again, this time like I was last year? I should have overcome that. I should be further. I should be stronger.
If you're not committed, you're not going to make it. Your first commitment is to God. The God who gave you life, who blew breath into you. Mama bought you shoes, daddy got you a bicycle. God gave you life.
Put God first. Everything that I have is by the grace of God. Understand that.
You owe him a level of commitment beyond all others.
To commit means to put your body and soul into something. To offer your life as a sacrifice means that you're willing to make a bargain with fate. And the bargain is, I'm going to act as if I give it my all, then the best possible thing will happen because of that. And it has to be an act of faith, because how are you going to know? You can look at other people, but that isn't going to do it. It's a decision. That's the covenant. Right? It's a decision about how to live in the world, because the evidence can't be there before you make the decision.
You know what I thought to myself? I thought I would hate to live and die and never know what would happen if I ever committed myself to anything. Some people have never thrown their whole self at nothing. Not at school, not at work. Oh my God, you've had 1 foot in and 1 foot out of every dream all of your life, and you've never seen what you could be if you ever really connected and threw everything.
And the question is, if you died today, what ideas, what dreams, what abilities, what talents, what gifts will die with you?
There's no such thing as try. So most people like to use that language. They don't want to commit themselves, because commitment means, among many things, no excuse is acceptable. That's what it means. No excuse. That if you decided that you're going to do this, if it becomes hard, then do it hard. If it's difficult, so what? If it's inconvenient, so what? See, a lot of people made a commitment to come here tonight, but they looked outside and said, it's raining. And that's how people do about their dreams. They don't honor their commitment to themselves. Let me tell you what happens when you don't keep your commitment. Number one, it begins to deplete your self-esteem, and it erodes your self-image.
But you've never been the person that you could be, because the could be is locked up behind commitment, and until you're committed, you'll never get the could be. You have to be committed through the storm and the rain and the heartache and the pain and the disappointment. You have to believe in the we and the us and not the me and the you, or you're not gonna make it. It's a commitment. It's not a feeling. What do you do when you tried and failed and you want to quit and you want to give up? Because trying again means hurting again, means risking again, means believing again.
means hoping again. Sometimes you can be blessed and be unhappy because even though things are going right, they're not going according to what you had believed and expected, and you know that something is missing out of your life. What do you do when something is missing out of your life and the things that replaced it do not compensate for what you lost?
I've always been told how average I can be. Always been criticized about being average. But I want to tell you something. I stand here before you, not listening to those words, but telling myself every single day to shoot for the stars, to be the best that I can be. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better, and better isn't good enough if it can be best.
Turn your wounds into wisdom. You will be wounded many times in your life. You'll make mistakes. Some people will call them failures. But I have learned that failure is really God's way of saying, excuse me, you're moving in the wrong direction.
Other than death, all failure is psychological. Other than death, all failure is psychological. Think about that. If you aren't dead, then it's just psychological. It does not mean that you won't lose some battles, because you will. We all will. But it does mean that as long as you don't surrender, as long as you don't give up, as long as you don't quit, then you haven't failed. It just means you've made a temporary tactical retreat, a brief withdrawal, so that you can regroup and reattack. If you get beat, unless you're dead, you are not defeated. And you have not failed. What you've done is you've learned. You've gained experience. And you're still alive. So get up and go get after it.
We all live in this bubble. What you gotta do to get the life that God wants you to have, you gotta put more air in your bubble. You got to blow your bubble up. Expand yourself. Take yourself out your comfort zone. Put some more air in your bubble. If you stay in your comfort zone, that's where you will fail. You will fail in your comfort zone. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It is a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up, being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society, and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere, when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit. So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly. If you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it, you got to have passion.
If you think ordinary's cool, ain't no problem. It's some really wonderful ordinary people. But if you are sitting in this room and you have extraordinary aspirations, then you're going to have to do extra. You put extra on top of ordinary and you come up with extraordinary. It's no other way. But here's the fact. All of you have extraordinary capabilities. All of you. You have to decide if you are willing to do the things to put you in that category. Rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day. That's a third of your life. He who loves to sleep and the folding of hands, poverty will set upon you like a thief in the night.
You don't have to live worried, focused on the problems, wondering why it happened. You know a secret. You have favor in the storm. You know what was meant for harm, he's turning to your advantage. Here's the key. The enemy wouldn't be fighting you if you weren't a threat. Oh, get ready. Favor is about to turn things around. Favor is about to catapult you to a new level. Favor is not going to keep you from the storm, but favor will bring you out of the storm. We don't understand everything that happens. Sometimes life is not fair, but you have to trust that God knows what He's doing.
This thing called life, you just don't know what the next moment will bring. But here's what I do know, and I want you to know, you have comeback power. When something happens to you, don't buy into what has happened to you. Buy into, I'm getting up out of here. I'm going to change this situation. This does not work for me, and I don't have the luxury of being depressed and angry. I need to clear my head. This is no time to do something stupid, like hurt yourself. No, 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 no.
So get serious about your goals, business goals, financial independence goals, family goals. I mean, there's so many things to work on this. That if you don't get busy and work on it, sure enough, the time will pass. And sure enough, 5 years from now, you'll wind up where you don't want to be, wearing what you don't want to wear, driving what you don't want to drive, being what you don't want to be. Now's the time to fix it. Your goals are affecting you, whatever they are. Your goals affect your attitude, personality. All day long, we're being affected by our goals.
You got to clear your head so that the decision that you make represents the best in you. People who don't stop to clear their heads, they react. They don't respond. Be still and know that you're going to get through this. You're going to get through this. And you don't want to be radical. You don't want to be erratic. Just be still and know, I'm going to get through this. You got to assure yourself. You have to encourage yourself. You have to clear your mind.
Your better future is a dream. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to be? What do you want to see? You've got to dream dreams. Without dreams and visions, people perish. You've got to have something to go for. Take the crumbs from starving soldiers, they won't die. Take the bread from hungry children, they won't cry. But without dreams, we all will die. You've got to dream. Don't lose your dreams. Becoming something unique on your journey here, don't lose your dream. That's long-range goals. You've got to have those. Because if you set up something short-range, go for it, get it, latch onto it, work hard, accomplish it. That starts building your strong feelings to go for your dreams. Economics plays a major role in everybody's life, which means it ought to be meticulously well planned for tomorrow.
An area of life that matters clearly to all of us is time. And most people have very little mastery of this. I don't mean checking things off your list. I mean squeezing out of your life what matters to you most. Your career, where is it now? Where are you financially compared to where you want to be? And especially with some of the changes that have happened in the economies around the world. And then finally, where are you in your level of sense of meaning, of contribution, and your sense of celebration in life? These are the areas that really matter most. Sit down and define what this looks like for you today. And invariably what we find out is almost everybody has some gaps. Gaps between where you are and where you want to be. And even if you've done incredibly well, I deal with some of the most successful people in the world, they're usually still happy in their life because they're hungry. They haven't lost that drive that says, look, what makes me feel alive is to know I'm growing. If my life's going to get better, I got to get better. I can't just hope it. And if my life is going to be rich emotionally, it's got to be expanding. And they know that. If you work your tail off at work to take care of your family and be the best at what you can do, your career's going really well. Isn't that the nature of human beings?
To me, successful is getting to the point where you are absolutely comfortable with yourself. It does not matter how many things you have acquired. The ability to learn to say no and not to feel guilty about it, to me, is about the greatest success I have achieved. The fact that I have, in the public side, done whatever, it's all a part of a process for growing for me. But to me, to have the kind of internal strength and internal courage it takes to say, no, I will not let you treat me this way, is what success is all about. I will not be treated this way. I demand only the best for myself.
We tend to focus on things we feel confident in, we know what to do in, and the other stuff we kind of hope it all comes together and try not to think about it too much, but it all affects us. You got to start with what it is you really, truly want now. You got to start with that end in mind. And then once you understand there is a gap between where you are and where you want to be, here's all we do. We believe that the most powerful way to change anything is total immersion.